Hello again, guys and girls. Welcome to another brand new series. I like to dub this the Road to Master League, and as you guys can probably guess, it is a Call of Duty series. Now, basically, what I want to, or what I aim to achieve in this series is somehow, like, I just want to go at Call of Duty from a Gears of War's perspective. And I've had a lot of history with Call of Duty. Now, I might even do a video going over all my history with Call of Duty. But the thing is, I just wanted to make this series about a Gears of War player coming to Call of Duty with the newly found competitive mindset. With all of these kind of stereotypes rolling around the Call of Duty scene, you know, everybody plays it as a 12-year-old, it's skillless, it's all these things. I really wanted to tackle these things because if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have spouted these stereotypes out like a crazy person. I would have just, you know, I would have not held back. I would have said everything loud and clear. And recently I've taken on Call of Duty from a different light, and it's strange because, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have played Call of Duty religiously. You know, from the course of like 2 years ago to about a year ago, I would have just, you know, I would have hated on it. And now I'm stuck in the middle where I've been through it all, and, you know, I've experienced everything. So I wanted to make a series where I tackle all of these problems and I try and get to Master League at the same time. So, quickly, I forgot to mention about the gameplay. So, this was a really interesting one. There's a bit of a story behind it. Basically, me and Redden were playing some League together. We were playing some League play. And we go into a match, and two guys leave. And so we're like, fuck's sake, you know, screw this, we're just going to leave. Redden's just like, so Chris, do you want to actually leave this game? Because there's no point. We've been in it for 5 seconds, and two guys have left, and it's just me and you. I was like, give it a few minutes, see if we get trampled on, and we'll see what happens. Now, obviously, from what you can probably see so far, we didn't get trampled on at the start, but then things start getting a little crazy, the game gets a little sweatier later on, and their guys start playing really hard, but at the start, I basically go like 10-0 or some crazy stuff like that. I get a stealth chopper, and I do what most people do when they get kill streaks in League play on a capture the flag match. You wait until the second round, then you unleash the hell, and it starts destroying everybody, and you just kind of walk into their base, and you're like, I'll have that, thank you very much. But yeah, it started off really well. We started really getting the kills and stuff, but we couldn't really play the objective with just 2 people, so we did unfortunately lose in the end. But nevertheless, it's entertaining to watch. Unfortunately, I didn't get to record it on the day, so I had to go back and record it afterwards, so that's why you get this awkward thing where when I die, it just kind of looks at my body for 5 seconds. It's really annoying. I wish it didn't do that. I wish it would just kind of swap over to another player for a few seconds and then swap back like it does in the game. But, yeah, whatever. I'll just try and record on the day in the future. But, yeah. So back to the series, I guess. So, like I said, I wanted to tackle a few main things. There's a lot of stereotypes going around saying that it's really easy to play Call of Duty and to get good at it and all that kind of stuff. Now, while I agree that it is really, really easy to get into the game and really easy to get half decent at it, you know, grow a little bit and start yourself off, I don't necessarily agree that it's as easy to master as people may think. Although, going into this, I do believe that it's probably easier to master than it is Gears of War, or God forbid, a game like League of Legends, because those games are crazy hard to master. Like, it's just ridiculous the amount of knowledge that goes into being good at one of those games. But, you know, I wanted to go through and experience it and kind of document what I'm going through, because basically, with all of my history with Call of Duty, I really wanted to just take a chance to express my current opinions, because while in the past I've either been one side of the fence or the other, I'm kind of stuck in the middle now where I'm a Gears of War player at heart. I've always loved Gears of War, and I've always been part of Gears of War, but Call of Duty has been ripened with my history. So basically, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, yeah, that's fair. No, that's not true. That's not true. You know, all these things flying left, right, and center. All these kind of stereotypes and opinions that are a little bit crazy. And you get one side of the fence saying that Call of Duty's, it's the master game, it's the best game ever, and you get the other side of the fence saying, oh, people only play it because they're bad gamers and things like that. So I'd like to just take a chance to see if maybe I can get really good at Call of Duty, and then I can tackle it from that side, because when you get really good, I think that a person who's actually really, really good at a game, their opinion is a lot more valid than someone who is just not necessarily that great, because especially in the Gears of War community, you get a lot of people who aren't that great at the game. They want the game changed in some way. They want the super powerful Gnasher from Gears of War 3, but like the Lancer from Gears of War 1. It's like, why would you want that? Do you really need that super power nuclear shotgun that they had in Gears of War 3? And a really weak Lancer to go with it, just to be useful with a shotgun? Is that what people really need? Because that's the thing that happens when a player isn't that great at the game. And I would like to at least get decent enough for my opinion to be experienced. So basically all I'm going to play is League play, because I tried playing the normal Black Ops 2 and I just can't stand it. I think that it's really, really irritating to play. I think that over the years, Call of Duty, they've tried to add too many things, and this is something I've gone through many, many times. Is basically, when a game strikes gold, it's always best in the first few nuggets. So when you have a game like Call of Duty that struck gold in Call of Duty 4, and they've been trying to go through it and keep it fresh and new each iteration of the game, but it's basically like they have to add something more to it, and they have to add something to keep it seeming like it's a new game at least. So the more and more they add, the worse the experience gets, I think, because well, sometimes it does get better, but I think that the more and more you add, the more complicated it becomes, and when it becomes unnecessarily complicated, it becomes annoying to play, because then there's way too many factors in the game. There's way too many things happening all at once. You don't only have to look for claymores and things like that, which you had to do in Call of Duty 4. Now you've got to look for like bouncing Bettys. You've got to look for tomahawks. You've got to look for a guy camping on a corner with a thermal scope and all these crazy things that are happening. You've got to look for a guy who's got 15 perks and one weapon that does a billion things. So they keep adding to Call of Duty, and I think that's the thing that annoys me. So the reason I play League Play more than anything else is just because it's a much simpler version of the game, and it's based off of the competitive side of the game, the way that people play it competitively. I think I can really get into that. The 4v4 is a lot more welcoming than the like 6v6 or whatever it is in the normal game. So yeah, I mean, this is basically the purpose of the series. I think I've rambled on a little bit too much, and I've gone over myself a little bit too much in this commentary, but you get the point. It's someone like myself who's come in there. They're in the middle of the fence, and I want to tackle a lot of issues from a very central point of view. I want to take people's opinions from both sides and just kind of give what I think is generally right, not necessarily what I agree with, not necessarily what I would like it to be, but what I think is right, nothing else. And that's what I like about myself as a human being, because I'm always the kind of person who doesn't care whether you're my friend, whether I hate you, whatever. I'm always there to be the person who agrees with what is right, even if it's proving a friend wrong or something like that. Because while I agree that, yeah, maybe I should go in there and I should say, oh yeah, Call of Duty is a terrible game, and back up Gears of War, it's just like, I can't really say that, because it does have really great fun gunplay. And it does have some really great mechanics in it, and it is really satisfying to shoot people in that game. But a lot of people might resent me for that, just because they have certain opinions about Call of Duty because they're Gears of War players, because they're League of Legends players, because pretty much anybody who ever plays any other shooter gets flack from Call of Duty players for being, you know, they just say, oh, this was copied off of Call of Duty, and I think that happens way too much. And Call of Duty players tend to back themselves into a corner with the opinions they express online and things, but I'm still gonna, like I said, I'm still gonna stay in the middle. I'm still gonna go for what is right, and that's how I'm gonna tackle it. Anyway, I pretty much said the same thing about 50 times in this commentary. Looking back at this, is not great, but I can't really think of what else I wanted to say other than when I actually go into individual topics themselves. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you look forward to enjoying this series, because I really want to aim it at not just people who play Call of Duty, but I want it to be for everybody. I want it to be just someone who's coming in from the outside and expressing their opinions. So, like I say, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. But for now, goodbye.